dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win, like lots of stems popping it like oxygen when boxes wet. Focus on the mental, never lose like smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto, choose what I get to. Never lose move on the move, but it's simple. Never give up if we want it, and maybe we just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that painting is never the
Welcome in, everybody. Tuesday night here for Divots and Pivots, as always. I am Andrew LeDuc, a.k.a. Mr. Mallard, and joined this week again, gracing us with his presence, Keith Fleming. Welcome into the Divot Pivot studio. Keith, how you doing this evening? How's the South treating you?
I'm doing good, man. Spent last week in Colorado playing some golf and went to the Red Rocks and stuff. So I had a great trip and realized that 9,000 feet above sea level is significant. As we played there the first day, and I was huffing and puffing and a little lightheaded. So, but boy, the ball travels a long way. It makes you feel mighty fine.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that yet, but I've assumed with the amount of people that always talk about it, it has to be true. And I apologize. I had to cover up I wore my hat backwards on the beach all day Sunday, and as you can see,
got the nice red line,
and it just really showed up on here and on the camera. So we're gonna throw a hat on to cover that up, because yeah, we spent the entire day of Sunday on the beach, and I put on sunscreen like 3 or 4 times all day because I was like, I'm not getting burnt. I still got roasted. My whole stomach, my whole chest, my back. Like, what the hell happened? Like, what is the point of the sunscreen if it's not going to do anything? So I'm assuming this is actually Jason here, but oh no, it is Mary Jane. She's my husband's. Mary Jane, thank you for stopping by. Keith is.
Jason's the man. Been on his show quite a few times.
Yes.
And he does. He pumps me up, which I absolutely love, because I'm a nerd, man, and love stats and stuff. And he's one of the few people that seems to really enjoy and appreciate that. So it makes me feel not as much of a nerd to have somebody as cool as Jason be like, "Oh, you're the best, man." I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Well, we'll definitely get into the stats as we get into the show more for this Genesis Open, the Scottish Open here. But first and foremost, let's shout out Acorn Hills as always. The show is always brought to you by Acorn Hills. Get on over to acornhillsco.com. Use discount code TBFY15 for 15% off your order, all their fine golf swag, some little golf accessories, and always helping the environment, helping plant trees, helping plant wildflowers in your tags. They're letting nothing go to waste, and they are doing their small part to save the world, and we thank them for that. So Nate, keep it up. Let's get into, I guess, first off, the happenings of last week. The John Deere Classic was, as it always is, the John Deere Classic, everything we say it is on this show. But I always try, the past 2 years I've been trying to pump it up, because 2 guys do get to punch their ticket to the Open Championship. If the top 2 finishes who haven't qualified get an invite, and that was this year Mr. Brian Campbell with the win. He got his. He was not yet qualified. And I want to say it was the Kevin Roy who got the other spot. There was a couple guys tied there, but
I was wondering, because why would Grillo not get it? He's not in the field, is he?
So when I looked, so maybe he's not.
Because he was an alternate, is what I saw. I thought.
So when I looked it up on Sunday to see who was in the running to be making, like while the play was still going on, Google had told me he already had a spot. So I looked right past it. They said
he's not in the field.
So I'm not sure that. And I don't know if maybe because he already had an alternate spot that counted as.
That'd be a bummer.
That'd be a bummer, yeah, right? But quite honestly, the way he performed in that playoff hole, I don't think he deserves much of anything. Because, look, I get it. I get it, pressure. I get all that. Playoff hole and whatever. The stage, he's still much better golfer than me. To me, at this level, though, in a playoff hole, I can excuse 1 bad shot. Hell, I can excuse maybe 2. But 3 completely unidentifiable, I don't know where they came from shots were just awful. And I'm not even talking about his tee shot. Like, his tee shot was a ride, put it in bad position. But when you actually saw the lie off of his tee shot, yes, in the trees and the rough, he had a quite a lucky lie, because he was sitting right where all the fans were. It was nice and matted down, ball sitting up, and he flew the green on a bounce, not just off the green, but off the back of the approach.
I think he did catch a flyer, though, to be fair.
Well, sure, I'm sure
he
he
hit
did.
wedge. You know what I'm saying? So
right. I'm sure he did. That's why, like, in that scenario, I was like, okay, I can discount like one shot. He can still easily from that spot, because then once again from his spot in the rough off the back approach of the green, it was slightly uphill, but he had a lot of approach to work with. He had a little bit of green to work with that was fairly flat from that angle. Like, I was like, okay, this is a shot that he can probably still get up and down for par, and we're going a hole number 2 anyway, so it's not going to really matter. The one I was just gonna say, the one I can't excuse is that chip shot out of the rough on the back, because that looks like he caught it clean. He did what he wanted to do. He just completely, I think, underestimated how far he had to go or what it was. But to come up that short and that soft in that spot, just a bad look. And I know I'm being harsh, but that's what I do. I'm harsh on here. So maybe give him some benefits of the doubt, I guess, Keith, because I have a feeling you want to.
I mean, I just, again, like, after he hit the tee shot, it's a tough position, because we saw this with Campbell earlier this year versus Pogacar. Like, he's so good at hitting greens and, fairways that I think Grillo knew he had to hit a really good shot, from the rough. And it just, like I said, I was shocked he was hitting wedge, because it was like, I think 168 or 158 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then to your point, it just obviously had to be juice for it to have gone that far. He looked pretty shocked. And then again, like it was a bad pitch shot, not denying that. That's also, though, kind of the weakness of his game, right? Like, Grillo is a great iron player, great putter, not a great, wedge player around the green. So it wasn't that shocking. I was just disappointed because obviously I had Grillo to outright win. And, for the second time this year, the shortest dude on tour has knocked me out of a pretty nice payday. But I got to admit, even despite that, I love it. Like, it feels like maybe there's a little bit of a change on the PGA Tour, because Russell Henley, I think, is like the 5th shortest guy on tour. He has a win this year. Campbell now has 2. Mm-hmm. And maybe we're getting back to where they are building these golf courses, or at least setting them up to where you don't have to have this like uber elite distance to win. And it felt like for a while that became the be all end all. And I think that, again, whether it be setup, whether it be rough, whatever it is, we have seen a little bit of a transition lately to where, I know it was, the Open, which plays firm and fast, but like Brian Harmon winning the Open Championship. Brian Harmon won an event, again this year. Like, these guys that are not by any means, even long, like, they're below average, like near the bottom, are winning events. And I just think it's wild that a guy that is dead last on the PGA Tour in driving distance now has 2 victories. Good for Campbell, especially for a guy that's 33. I think there's only like his 48th career start. So, that is a journeyman's career. And it's been a life-changing few months, because he has got now 2 years to be very fat and happy. He's going to get to play in some major championships, which he hadn't got to do. And just like, I'm very happy for him. And again, just happy to see players other than this bomb and gouge mentality finding success.
No, and I do agree, because I like to see skillful shots. I like to see spin control. I like to see someone picking their spot and hitting their spot and attacking the golf course in that way that they really know that they got to get around the course in a certain way, or knowing that there's maybe 3 or 4 holes that they can really attack and they hold up on it. Like, all that, I like this. I agree. I like the strategy of that. Can we just agree that also, because I am going to go back in on Grillo here, that putt on the playoff hole, are you like that putt was not even like that's something I would do. He just left it so like out there, just not even close.
I mean, I think that, again, as somebody who, and I'm not comparing obviously my golfing career to any professionals, but I've won several amateur events and like club championships. Like sometimes you just get spinning in those situations and you literally almost black out on the golf course. And so I have a little bit more sympathy for these guys because I've been there, man. Like where you're playing amazing golf, and then all of a sudden, like you're just like literally you black out and you've lost the tournament, and you're like, what just happened? And because it looked like he rushed, right? Too. Like after he hit that second shot, I thought he was really quick on the chip and to the
Right.
putt. And to your point, I think that's why both of them were, not very good. Poor probably is a fair statement on it. And I really like Grillo too. I love his game. I love his demeanor. He normally is a very level, kind of headed guy. And but again, I think Campbell deserves so much credit. That double, like I thought that sunk him. Like it was like the one shot where he hit. It looked like he tried to kill a ball. Basically, was because it's the longest par four on the golf course. Looked like he was trying to hammer that drive, hit that snap hook, made double, and he just came right back. And I just again love how good he is. Like he just was in the middle of the fairway all day and hitting, just dart after dart after dart.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing he did earlier this year, which was even more crazy because in that sense, he was the longest dude on tour versus the shortest guy on tour. And he beat his brains in that day. And as somebody, again, who pretty good golfer, but never been by any means long, it's a tough thing to have somebody 50, 60 yards in front of you, every single hole. But it does give you the opportunity to keep putting pressure actually on them if you can, hit good approaches, right? Because, they're going to be way ahead of you. But if you're just throwing friggin' darts, you actually flip the pressure around where then it's the guy that's the longer hitter is going, oh crap, now I got to hit it close.
Yeah, like I just can't get away from this guy. No, I get that, and I obviously say all these criticisms with the utmost respect for these guys because they do something I wish I could do, and like that's.
Don't we all?
I'm also just not the type to sit here and be the, oh, you were so close, good job. Like in my eyes, when it comes to professional sports, like when you unfortunately lose whether it was a hard situation or not, when you lose in a pressure moment, you just got to get a little bit of flack because that's my way of helping him learn how to deal with that. How about that? Well, it's my training guide for him because he's totally listened to the show. I say that in jest, obviously, but all in all, this is a tournament that I honestly did not watch much of. We had a very busy weekend, so I wasn't able to catch much of it until on Sunday. I was able to catch a bit on Sunday, and then on the end of it on Sunday as well. Like I said, we were at the beach all day.
All right.
We happened to get inside just like right as it was coming down the last few holes. But the John Deere, I'm sorry, like I don't know. We always say in just the John Deere is the. When it's a tournament, no one cares what we just say. Oh, the John Deere, but
but I mean, this is the 17th time since 2000 that this event has either ended in a playoff or a one-shot victory. And for me, as a golf fan, like that's more important than anything. Like I just want a show on Sunday, back nine. Like seriously, that is the main thing I want from a golf tournament. Is I want to see. A showdown, a shoot it, whatever it is, but an interesting golf tournament. And, unfortunately with Tiger for so long, even being the biggest Tiger mark in the world, got kind of boring, right? Because it's like, oh, it's over. Tiger's got the lead. It's Sunday.
Like when Jimmy Johnson made his run in NASCAR.
Right.
Like, it was just like, oh, he's going to be out there 2 laps ahead or whatever. You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, and I think that
Scheffler's got a little bit of that too, right? Like where Scheffler's, it feels like once he's getting the lead, it's getting to the point where it's inevitable. So I just love events, and also I think from a gambling perspective, these are the best opportunities you're going to get. Campbell, I mean, again, was a huge dog. I mean, what was he, 200 to 1, right?
I saw 400, yeah.
Okay, even better. And I mean, that's in a weak field. He was 400 to 1. So
they coming off like having a win already, like you said to your point. Like that is, these weaker fields provide so much fun in different ways than just like star-studded. Because I think what we get is we get a field of guys who are just hungry to say, okay, this is our chance to have some spotlight.
Yep.
Let's show up and show out. And I think that's place of why we get, like you said, in the John Deere, the playoff and all the tight finishes. I agree. I'll take that. I don't care who's the name on the leaderboard. If this guy's going to a playoff, I'm excited that we're getting playoff golf. I don't care. That's why I'll still watch the NHL, playoffs even once my Bruins are out, because playoff hockey is just a different animal. Where these guys are playing with so much passion. And let's be honest, when it comes to our core as sports fans, whatever sport you're watching, you enjoy it more when you can see the guys or the girls playing passionately. And when they have that passion behind them, they draw you in. So we get to see that in different ways in these weaker field events. I hate to say it like that, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But that's not what we're going to get this week. Before we move on, though, any other storylines? Because you watched more of it than I did this past. Any other storylines out of the John Deere that grabbed your attention that do you think are worth mentioning from that you saw?
Just that these young kids are coming. Watching Thorberson on Sunday, basically shoot 8 under with a double and a bogey. There's so much young talent on the PGA Tour. I keep talking about it, and these guys are fearless, which to me is the best part about it. Like, they grew up, in that Tiger generation, right? Where everybody thinks I'm the best. And I love that. Like, that's what you need guys that, think that way. And I do. I think there's as much talent on the PGA Tour right now as there's ever been. And it seems it's just only getting better. Because like we saw again, Jackson Kavanaugh, who is sophomore, from Auburn.
Yeah, I think you pronounce it Coiven, but yeah, Jackson Coiven.
That's my thing. In case you don't remember, I can't pronounce anything. I'm a country bumpkin, but so that's on brand for me. But he's a sophomore, right? And he shot 14 under this week. And the talent, there's just like every year another one of these Oberg or type guys coming up. And I just think the game of golf, professional golf, is in such a great spot right now.
And we already see the other ones that are even further away than guys like Coiven and like your Miles Russell and those guys.
Oh God, yeah, right.
It's so fun to see so far down the pipeline, which I think is something unique to golf compared to other sports. Because I know, sure, you get, in football,
tennis is about the only one I can think other than golf where it's these phenoms.
As long as they qualify, they also jump into it right away. Yeah, but like in football, sure, we get college football, but at that point, in these days, college football is basically professional football, and they're playing that for like a year. So yeah, I love that we can see so far down the pipeline, because then what makes it fun is then, yeah, sure, maybe for a couple of years you kind of forget that name, and then all of a sudden you see him finally pop in a tournament, and you're like, oh my God, I remember that.
I remember this dude. Yeah.
Anytime you can strike feelings up, and while you're watching a sport, watching golf is a win for me, no matter what the feeling is, being mad or being curious or being excited, whatever, I don't care. All the feelings that come with any sports, sign me up. It pushes the sports forward. It keeps you watching for at least an extra 5 minutes, whatever it is. I'll take it. All right, so that's the John Deere then, and we do not have a weak field at the Genesis this week.
We got a strong field.
We got strong
second
field.
Strongest of the year. Only the players, which is kind of wild now that the majors don't even, because used to, like, I think the PGA was typically the strongest just because of the amount of players that are in it. You don't get all the amateurs and stuff. But it is remarkable to see that, like the players in this event. And I hope this leads to more PGA DP co-sponsored events, because remember, this event was around for a few years before 3 years ago when they decided, okay, we're going to make this a co-sponsored event by both tours, and the strength of the field just skyrocketed after they did this. I believe it's only Henley and Keegan are the only two from the top 10 in the official world golf ranking that's not there. Like, this is a deep field, and it makes it a lot of fun for degenerates like us.
No, it does, and the more tournaments we get like that, the better. I'm actually what I want to do, actually, because I struck out big time last week. I had 2 weeks in a row. I was doing good with my one and dones. I struck out very miserably this past week with the John Deere on Thorbjorn Olesen. He just, I think he finished -1 after 2 rounds and missed the cut or whatever. I think it was 1 over. It was just bad for a birdie fest type of event. It was bad.
Oh, I had several of those guys. I was all over Alex Smalley, who just
Yeah.
crapped the bed, like literally hurt me so bad in some DK single inches where I cashed with a guy missing the cut, and I'm like, dude, you just have another person there. This could have been a really good
See,
week.
that's what's also great about those types of events is what
Mhm.
the ownership I feel like is just so spread out because there's so much value that it evens the field out ownership wise. That yeah,
Mhm.
you can go at least in cash games. Probably still not GBB. You can
No,
cash.
for sure. Yeah, but in then that's all I do. I only
Yeah,
do
I know
single
that's all
entries.
you do. Yeah, I haven't actually I haven't played a ton of DFS this year. I've just been doing the one and done mainly. But I need to get back to the DFS because it is fun. But what I am going to do is I'm actually going to look at because I haven't done my kind of research on the course yet. So I'm thinking we can discuss the course together here. Not because I want to try to steal your process, your thoughts here. I still like my
No, of
process.
courst. Yeah, absolutely, man.
But every now and then I like to make sure we give a nice, good sneak peek and shout out into what Fantasy National offers for their stats and their abilities of organizing things. And right away, what I noticed different here is that am I on the right? They're playing the Renaissance this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say because what strikes me here is that usually the very first thing I see is that strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting are right around like the 0.3 mark for average strokes gained for the top 10, and they're usually pretty equal. But strokes gained putting is so much higher this week than all the rest, which is kind of different.
Massive greens and very
Yeah.
slow greens is, I think, the main reason you got that. These are rolling at like 10 on the stemp, which, I mean, for those that don't understand, like, that's like your basic muni track. Like, seriously, like, for these guys, this is like, I could not imagine the bitching that goes on when they get to a venue like this, because anybody that plays their local clubs, right, and you got your greens that are rolling like at 11, and then you go to a place that is like 9, and you're like, God, freaking Goat Ranch. I could not imagine the best players in the world are used to playing on like 14 to 16 on the stemp, and then they get somewhere here and it's 10. But just understand that's because if the winds come in, and this is obviously a links course on the coast, if they had it any lower, the ball would literally not stop. So they have to do it that way, or otherwise you're going to have a real problem. So.
Right. So what is interesting here is when you switch it, because on Fantasy National, you have the ability to switch from top 10 to search, what the stats are strokes gained for either top 10 or winners. So like I said, strokes gained approach for the top 10 was about, right in between 0.1, 0.2.
Driving distance is pretty big, right?
So I haven't got down there yet.
Okay.
The first thing that caught my attention was the strokes gained approach. So that's for the top 10. Guys who finish in the top 10 are right around, it's 0.15. We'll call it 0.15 to round it. When you switch to the winners, though, all of a sudden, strokes gained approach for the winners shoot all the way up to 0.47. That's a big difference. Usually, like I said, top 10s and winners are fairly close in the way these stats for the strokes gained metrics range out, but that's a big enough.
Think about those winners, though, at least the last 3 years. Xander, Rory, McIntyre, those are all, when they're on very, very, very good iron players. So it's not that. Surprise, even Aaron Rye, who won here before the field got deeper, another great, iron player. So, I mean, and it's also just, again, I think it's one of those deals that the weather is going to make such a big deal here, because this is an event in the 6 years that we've seen really bad links conditions and the winning score was 7 under. We've seen calm conditions and the winning score is 22 under. So that is pretty significant when the exact same course at the exact same time of the year has played 15 shots different in a 6-year window. And it's literally just weather that caused that.
Let's see. So I want to quickly look up some of the historic conditions to last year. They said the wind was actually calm last year. So that didn't, and then it does not give me the weather for the years before that. But last year at least was calm, and everything played fairly easy because of that.
The year Xander won was the year that the weather was awful, because he won at 7 under.
But that I still think does lean towards like having guys who are high on that strokes gained approach, because guys who can control their flight through the wind and know what to do there. And another testament to the greens are slower here. You can't get, I don't want to say as lucky, but you don't have as much give to run it up. Land it short, run it up. Like, you really have to control your spin and drop it in where you want to.
Well, to make birdies, you have to hit it close, because again, these are
Exactly.
massive greens. So you could hit 16 greens in regulation and not really hit it that well, right? Like where you have all these long putts, to where I know that's something I really looked into this week, was 3-putt avoidance and approach putting, because
definitely.
anytime I'm on links courses, I want guys that are good lag putters and avoid 3-putts, because there's nothing that'll kill you on a links course more than hitting a green and just giving it away by 3-putting it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. So I'm going to add into that to my model. Let me see what I got in there already from last week. So we're definitely going to go strokes gained approach. And I definitely do want to do bogey avoidance, or 3-putt avoidance is actually what I want there. Because I do still want them to be able to control, like, okay, even if they're saving bogey, like, I want them to be able to save that bogey in this type of track and in this type of tournament. So I'm going to go 3-putt avoidance instead of just bogey avoidance.
And again, driver distance to me is the be-all, end-all. I mean, strokes gained off the tee is fine, but if you look at the last 3 years, at least 10 of the top 15 finishers were basically above average in driver distance for the week. So, and the reason for that, in case you're wondering, is there's 3 par 5s, all reachable, kind of all in that 550 to 600 range. And then there's another drivable par 4 plus 6 par 4s that are 450 plus. So to me, yes, the firm and fast conditions will equal it out. We've seen this with guys like Tom Kim and, Aaron Rye and other guys have success here, but it's still a huge advantage if you're long, especially because this is a course too that is wide open. I mean, you can just bomb it off the tee, and you really have to miss it to get into like that fescue rough and stuff. It's actually the occasional bunker and stuff you have to worry about more than that. But this is a very generous course off the tee.
See, and that's why I know you like me like to look at the numbers, because you can, everything you're saying right now, you can see with your eyes. You can tell just by watching the tournament over the years. But then when you look at the numbers, it's nice when it backs it up, because driving accuracy, for instance, here among winners, an average tour event is a little over 0.6 strokes gained driving accuracy. Here it's down under 0.5. Oh no, it's right at like 0.5. So I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not as important. But to your other point, average driving distance at tour events this year is 284 yards. The winner here averages right around like 295, 300. So everything you just said, backed by the numbers, you can trust this guy Keith when he's putting this together. I know I'm definitely going to be putting in driving distance. So let's build this now. Let's build this live. Let's add in 3-putt avoidance, which I already did that actually. Let's add in driving distance. And
again, I did par 5 scoring.
That's interesting. Okay.
Because again, those 3 par 5s are all reachable, and I just feel like, again, on link style courses, it's so important to take advantage of those par 5s, because you have these massive greens. It's not necessarily easy to make birdies, right? I mean, even again, under the calmest conditions, we're talking 20, 22 under, like in that range. And I just think that overall, again, you look at the guys that won, McIntyre, somebody plays par 5. Obviously, Rory plays par 5s very well. Xander plays par 5s very well. Minwoo Lee, who won here, plays par 5s very well. I don't know for sure if that, played out that week, but I just know in general on links courses, Open Championship, that type of deal, I always, especially if they're reachable par 5s, usually put that into the equation.
Well, and once again, the stats back it up. When you go back and look at the handicap on all the holes, the 3 par 5s are the 3 easiest holes on this course: 16, 17, 18, and that order rank wise. Obviously, those aren't the whole numbers, but so that 100% backs it up. Strokes gained, par 5 does seem like a good one, and I don't want to end up with the exact same model as you here, but we're gonna probably be pretty close. But let's look at, because I'm gonna avoid. Typically, I throw in like approach proximity, something like that. I'm gonna avoid that this week because the numbers are all too balanced, and actually the highest approach is. The highest average approach shot distance here is actually 0 to 75, which if I'm gonna play that, I'd rather just play strokes gained short game as my stat instead,
Yep.
because I like to your point of these are big greens. Like I need them to be able to know how to run that ball a certain way on slower
Yep.
greens from closer. So I'd rather do that. Well, let's see how many do I got right now, because I usually stick to 5. Here.
You
So
do
let's see.
better than me.
Well, I used to always kind of let myself get a little out of hand. I'd end up with like 7, 8, 9
No,
sets.
I get it.
And then all of a sudden, the more sets you add, I just found myself kind of, I don't know, muddying my results down.
Well, Joe built me a percentage thing, which has really helped, where I can then put like in a spreadsheet just percentages by categories to equal up to 100. And then he downloads the data and spits it out for me. So, because before that, you're right, it was kind of a mess. But since he's done that, it's really helped where I could have 8 to 10 categories, but say, most of them are 5%, and then say like par fives is 10. And like for this week, driver distance would be 15%, right? Because I think that's a really big one. And, so on, so on.
Yeah, that's how I will say that I usually do the same thing where I adjust the, like the weight of how it's all going to play out. There we go. We just have to add that one in there now. And let's take a gander at what this all kind of spits out for us here, which it's like my favorite. It's like almost like opening a gift once you see how your mixed condition model.
I'm a card guy. It's like opening a hobby box, man.
There we go. See, I like that. All right, let's get rid of this one and that one. And a part of me kind of actually wants to keep 6 stats in there this week. If I'm going to take out one, it's probably actually going to be I'm going to take out the short game, actually. Then, yeah, let's see. Like I said, approach is going to be pretty high. So if normal percentage would be 20 for this amount, I'm going to give it the highest at 20. Putting, I kind of want up there. Actually, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to put, 20 there. I want 3-putt avoidance high, but we'll do 15. What's my math? I'm bad at math. So that's, what do I have left here? 20, 40, 70. That's only, I got 15 left. So let's actually go higher on these two, 25, and then 3-putt avoidance. Actually, no, driver distance, we're going to go to 20. All right, let's see what it spits out, because I'll be curious to see how close we are just from the mixed conditions model results, because I obviously put in some other stuff into mine. I'll tell you right now, obviously, shocker, number 1 ranked out of that formula there, Scotty Scheffler. Not a shock. It is what it is. Sam Burns making an appearance for me, though. Which is fun. Harry Hall, Rory McIlroy, Ryan Fox, the top 5, just based off of all that. Now, like I said, I won't bore everybody with going through everything, but I'll go back into the results recently, tournament history, and kind of start doing some eye test stuff for myself. But that's a pretty solid but chalky kind of top 5, if you ask me. Are you getting some chalky results when you run your stuff right now, too?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I am somebody that I don't lean too heavily into the model. I like to have it, but for me, it's more about finding players that fit sort of, the most boxes possible, right? Like, so for instance, like Sam Burns, who is somebody I love this week. I'm betting him to win. Love him at DK for cash games at 9K. I think that's a real value.
Yeah, 9K.
Finished 19th the last time he played at this venue 2 years ago. He's playing really good as of late. We know he's like an elite putter. He's got plenty of distance off the tee. But what I really like is if you look, and this has been Burns's, downfall really the last couple of years, his iron game is just bad. He's gained strokes now in 4 straight events. That's huge. That's a big reason why all of a sudden you see he is starting to pile up top 15s, top 20s. And I said this 2 weeks ago, Burns is going to win like soon. It's coming because he just, when he hits his irons, well, he's too freaking good of a putter. Like he's going to take advantage of it. He's by far the best putter on tour right now. And I mean, he has like, what I love about Burns is not only is he week to week really consistent, he's also the guy that when he gets hot, he like goes nuclear. So it's like his average is basically top 10 and his best is so much better than everybody else on tour putting. And again, these massive greens, he puts well on slow greens, which is a big deal. I love Burns. Hall is another guy that again, really like him. I am a little nervous because I'm sure he has a lot of experience being from England, but he hasn't played an Open Championship yet. Has only played in one Scottish Open, and he finished, I think, 60th in it. So he doesn't have a lot of experience, which is the one thing that scares me. But I mean, come on, dude. He's second in par four scoring. He's like 24th in par five scoring. He's great on and around the greens. He hits the ball really far off the tee. Like, that's just like check, 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 check.
Yeah, that's enough.
And then again, Fox is the same deal. Like, and Fox is arguably the hottest guy, right? On tour,
Right.
not named like Scotty Scheffler or Ben Griffin. I mean, he's got 2 wins. I think it's like 20th or better in 6 straight. And it's another guy that, like, really good iron player, hits the ball plenty far. Like, I mean, he's right at about 300 yards average drive. You know, with him being from New Zealand, like, he knows how to play and win. That's a good thing about people that come from that part of the world, is like they're used to windy conditions, so that's no problem.
He's gained 6.5 strokes in his last 5 tournaments.
Bam. I mean,
And
he's
on the-
8,500 on DK. Like, I think that, again, I think the value this week on DraftKings is the 9K to like 7,400. There's just a ton of really good values in that range, and those are the guys, right? Like Harry Hall's 8,400, Sam Burns is 9K, Fox is 8,500. I mean, for cash lineups, that's a pretty good core that I feel good about.
Yeah.
And I am trying to avoid betting too many outrights this week. I only have like 4 or 5, because at the end of the day, this is still an event with Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy in it. And I think that at the end of the day, when both of those guys are in fields, I would try to focus on like top 5, top 10, top 20 bets, because
I like
if
those.
one of them comes with their A game, it's over. I mean, let's just pretty much call a spade most weeks. And that to me is not the weeks to be taking a lot of shots on, like long odd guys and stuff. So, like, I think Xander's a decent value this week at 20-1. Like, for his history, obviously has won the Open last year. So, he obviously likes link style courses, but like, and Burns again, 40-1. And then I got a couple of guys like Hall, actually, Brian Harmon, and Byung Hun On, and that's it. Like, that's literally my betting card for outright wins, because I just feel like, again, that with Scheffler and Rory in the field, Scheffler's finished 3rd here, Rory's won this event. Like, if either one of them shows up ready to roll, like, good luck, everybody. And I don't want no part of that.
Yeah, I was curious if you were going to have any love for the other short Brian and Brian Harmon, because I did notice, as obviously he had the win at the Open across the pond.
It's so much deeper than that, though. Like, he has now become one of the more consistent links players. 21st and 12th the last 2 years at this event. Finished 6th in the Open Championship, I believe, in like 2022, the year before he won. Like, he is somebody who he's had one bad, basically, links finish in his last 6 starts, and the rest of them are all basically top 20s. Again, 7,500. You're getting him at, what is it? It's crazy odds. So, like, his top 5 is 14-1. His top 10 is 6-1, and his top 20 is plus 275. Sign me up for all 3.
Yeah, you gotta love that. He just, and sometimes that's where, even when you do get too tied to like a model, like Harmon might not exactly kick out because of the style of courses he's played so far this year, or he just has had the best year. But then some guys, you just gotta know, come out for certain courses, come out for certain events, come out for certain style of courses, and that's where you just gotta do that extra research and find that this is.
He proved it last week, right? Like, he had not had a really good finish since his win, and he went to the Travers a couple of weeks ago, a venue that he's played very well historically.
Exactly.
He finishes 8th, right? Like, that Harmon's one of those guys that he definitely has courses he plays well on, and links courses have become, part of that group, it seems like, since like 2021-22 range.
Yeah, so I gotta love that, and I'd like to see Brian Harmon win again. But I do. So another question I have for you then is this the type of event now? Has it become the event that we're more likely than not going to see like a bigger name win it at this point? Or do you think this is still an event that can be wide open from a winning standpoint? Obviously, we're talking DFS, we're talking bets, that's a different story. But from a flat out, who do we think is capable of actually winning this? Like, do you think this can still be an event where a guy can come from the crowd and shock some people?
No, I don't. Again, like, the only way that would be the case Bad weather. Bad weather brings everybody, or
Which
not
was a big
everybody,
part
but
of
you know what I'm saying? So many
when
more
they
people
opened.
into
Yeah.
play. Yeah. And if you look the year that Xander won, that was probably the most wide open it was, with guys that could win. Rory kind of running in a route. And again, like I know Robert McIntyre is still ascending in the US, but like in Europe, he's one of the best link style players in the world. So it's no surprise that he won last year. So like I mean, I do consider him one of the top players
Oh, I do
on
too.
these type
And that's true.
courses. But again, like I mean, if you were telling me I could take Rory, Xander, and Scheffler or the field, I think I'd take Rory, Xander, and Scheffler. Like I just do. Like Scheffler is due to win a links event. He has not done that yet in his career. His game is tailor made for it, because again, the iron game is so important on these courses. And I just also think Scheffler is like in his like Kill Bill mode right now, where I think he just wants to just win, and he knows he kind of has the tour by the throat, and if he can continue to pile up these wins, he's going to get that Tiger type war where guys will just start folding. We're starting to already see it where like when he has the lead or when he's making a charge, guys, you know, feel that Scotty pressure, and that's what
Yeah.
made Jack and Tiger was a lot of times they just got to play golf and let people implode around them. And
Right.
I think that Scheffler is close to getting, you know, into that range. He just needs a few more wins in a short period of time. I think he's going to be there.
Well, just to give you a comparison here, so we talked about Ryan Fox and how his last 5, he's had a stroke gain total of 6.5, and he's, you know, been on the rise throughout his really last 68 tournaments going up to that point right there. To give you some perspective of where Scotty is, in Scotty's last 5, he's gained 12.3 strokes.
He's so good.
And he's in his last 138, he's gained 6.6. So he's in his last 138 tournaments, he's still higher than what Ryan Fox has done recently. And that's
what is Scheffler just on approach in that stretch? Because that's what always is amazing to me is he's so much better than everybody else with his irons.
Yeah, so let's compare. So for instance, Fox strokes gained approach in his last 5 is 2.9. Scheffler is 5.4.
Yeah. Outrageous. That is so crazy that you're gaining 5, and it's so consistent with Scheffler. Byron was talking about this when he came on my show, that like he wants to go back and look at like what was Scheffler's bottom of the barrel iron performance and where did he rank that week, because he said he went back like almost a year and it was still at least like 2-3 shots every tournament, and
we rank it up that way. So let's see. The last time, let's double check. So he hasn't given up strokes gained approach since the first time he was in the green on that was the CJ Cup in 2022.
That is insane.
Where he hit 0.2 strokes gained.
That is insane.
And what's fun to watch is that you can go back to 2020, where in that first tournament at the Houston Open, where mine finished 32nd.
Right.
He lost 5.6 strokes on approach there, but he has literally from tournament to tournament since then. This can't be. There's no way this is actually going to play out like that. Just give me a second here, because if this is true, this is going to be like just kind of wild to me that this is capable of that someone's capable of this. He's either been consistent from one week to the next on. Oh wait, sorry, I did that. That was just I'm an idiot. That was descending and ascending order of strokes gained approach. That's why.
Okay, I was like, wow.
Like, has he really gone up at least, or stayed even, or gone up 0.1 at least in every single week?
I was about to be like, man, that's pretty impressive.
Well, that's why I was like, give me a minute, because that's going to be insane. But no, I'm just an idiot and can't read my stats right. No, I'd have to. It would take me a while to figure that out for us. But the fact of the matter is that okay. So the last time he's actually in tournaments lost strokes gained approach was the BMW in 2024, where he actually lost 3.5 strokes, 3.3 strokes, which is one of his worst performances of all time. Literally.
Is that the FedEx?
It was the BMW Championship.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the FedEx Cup? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was the playoffs. Yeah, because it was August 25th. Yeah, and then there was the
Which, by the way, he had already pretty much wrapped up. He was going to be
correct.
number one going into the Tour Championship at
So, yeah,
that point.
we can probably throw that out because then he does turn around at the Tour Championship and
just torch everybody.
Strokes and torch everyone. So if we throw that one out, we're looking at the Genesis in 2024 where he lost half a stroke.
And I remember that event actually.
Yeah,
because it was shocking. He had the pulse that week.
And even losing half a stroke at the Genesis that year, he still finished 10th.
Yep.
But that's the thing. He lost, and that's the thing. Like the Tour Championship in 2023, he lost almost 2 strokes approach. He still finished 6th. Like that's
because his chipping's so good. It's the most underrated part of his game. People understand he's so good with a wedge around the greens.
The last time he lost strokes gain on approach and missed a cut was 2022 at the FedEx St. Jude, where he lost 0.9 strokes on the approach and also missed the cut. So that's just a silly run. As we know,
man.
Spending so much time talking about why you should play Scotty Scheffler this week when really everyone already knows that. That's also the last time he missed a cut in general, by the way. I'm just noticing that too.
And I mean, he's 13-1 this week. I have him in several of my like $100 single entry lineups because I think that his ownership's going to be a little down this week because you get such a discount for like Rory and Xander and those guys. And I like taking Scheffler, especially when, again, I like the guys in the like mid to low 7K range. I can actually make Scheffler happen and still play like another guy in the high 8K, low 9K range and feel pretty comfortable.
44 top 10 finishes since that.
It's outrageous. Yeah, he's insane.
That's the Scotty Scheffler arc is here.
It is the era.
So I don't even remember how we ended up down that path. I think we were comparing him to Ryan Fox of all people, and just how dominant he is. Because, like you said, Ryan Fox is one of the hottest players in golf this year, and that another reason why we briefly touched on this earlier. Why I think golf has been so fun this year is a lot outside of Scotty Scheffler. The hottest golfers are names that most casual golf fans don't know. You, I, Bud, whatever, all of us golf content creators, we know them because we, shoot this into our veins directly. But I like that most casual golf fans don't know who the hottest golfers are because I just think that opens the door for more fans to get drawn in. Someone always has that first golfer they fell in love with, that first golfer that grabbed their attention. And sure, Tiger Woods was an easy one for our generation and whatnot because
for my wife, Adam Scott.
So, and that's the thing. And honestly, for me, it goes back to actually Adam Scott was one of mine too, because back on one of the original Tiger Woods games on PlayStation that I'd always play, Adam Scott was one of the guys that you could play as, and I just liked playing with it. So getting to know newer golfers, is going to grow the sport more than, Scotty Scheffler running away with this on another Tiger-esque. Unless he does it at the same level, then that's just going to go on a whole different plane. But I doubt that's going to happen. We'll see. We'll never know. So, okay. So is Sam Burns then your highest kind of confidence outright winner this week? Did I miss? I mean,
I still, again, like Xander at 20-1, I like a lot too. Because I just think that's a value. But yeah, like Burns is, for instance, on my DK lineups right now, I've got I think $600 worth of lineups. He is in 633 of them. So 100%. I think that 9K, that's a sweet spot. And I think he's due to win. And I think this is a great venue for him. Again, he hadn't played here in 2 years, but he finished 19th the last time he did. And if he has another good approach week, like he has 4 weeks in a row, he's gaining strokes on approach. I think Burns is going to be right there in contention Sunday. Even if Scheffler and Rory, have their A game, I think he can hang with them as long as his iron game is solid, which it has been the last 4 tournaments.
Yeah, I'm just looking at who else is in that 9K range around him, and you got your Robert McIntyres, which like we had kind of said before, or at least led to, when I look at these numbers, because of his he's so short and poor on the driver distance category. He drops out of my top 10 in the general mixed conditions model. But like you said, driving distance, it's very important, but on a lake style course, depending on the weather, you can get around it. So considering how good
he
is,
went runner-up winner the last 2 years, so obviously he likes his venue pretty well.
that's what I mean. So you can get around it to where I think he should still be definitely considered at 9,100 now.
No, for sure. And that's what I'm saying again is like if you don't want to play Scheffler, Rory, and Cash, I think that's what to do is like you can have both of those guys and then throw in like I really like Fitzpatrick this week. Throw him in.
He's
they're
quiet this year. At some point, he's on his way up, so you just feel like at some point he's going to pop in what better way than closer to home.
And he's another guy that's played links courses pretty well here lately. His big problem with the driver is usually spraying it. It's not going to be as big of an issue this week, and he is trending up in the direction. I just again feel like at that price. And again, I also love the Hall Fox guys, 85, 8,400. Harmon is in a ton of my lineups. Some of the cheaper guys I also like is like Byung-Hun An, Lee Hodges, both I think are great plays this week. They're guys that can just pound it off the tee. They dominate par fives. And again, that's a big deal. And then don't be afraid to go after these Europeans. Like, I look at guys like Victor Perez, Thomas Dietrich, Langask, and
Langask. He was one of
and Mansell are the guys that I have in a lot of lineups because I just think that and Marcel Sim, if you're going for a really cheap guy, he is somebody who there are 7 people in this field that are above average, top 30 and like 7 different metrics. It's like driving distance, putting, slow greens, approach, iron play, all this. They're the names you would expect, like Scheffler, Rory, Marcel Sim is the other guy on there. And it's par 4s from 450 to 500 and par 5s from 550 to 600. That is significant. Like, I love seeing those lists. I think it's John Hausberg on Twitter is the one who always has these lists, and it's just a big deal when one guy on those lists is in the 6K range, and literally every other player on that list is like 8,800 and above. It's like that is the kind of stat where like I'm gonna throw him into a few lineups.
Oh, of course.
What about Toasty? Because he's never played in an Open. He's never played at this event. But if you're talking about metrics and fit, a lot of the stuff you like, he excels at here. He is somebody to me that is very interesting because I think he's 6,600 or 6,500. Yeah.
Took me a second to find him. Yeah, he's 6,500. My only problem with Toasty is that he definitely seems to be in a downturn. Like he's trending down. So like that could bode well for ownership for an edge there if he can find a week here and pull it through. But I do like just a bunch too many other guys that I think are going to be like you brought up Lancaster, like that's the guy I was going to bring up. Like I'd rather play Lancaster for I think it's like $200 more. So I think he's 67. I'd rather do that than Toasty. I get what you're saying. Historically, he's got the game for this place. It's just.
No, I get you. I mean, Langask has finished, I think, 25th and 10th in the last 2 editions of this event. So, I mean,
so he hasn't missed a cut in both last Opens and Genesis Scottish Opens. And in those, he's only gotten better since the start of that run up to where last year's Genesis Scottish Open he actually gained 9.8 strokes total and finished third. So like that's something that is definitely I'm taking interest in. He's 2.6 strokes gained total in his last 5. He's also on an upturn when you go back to his last 20. But like I say, we only see him at these, so it's a little bit weighted. We don't see him at these ones.
Yeah.
But I like that. And another guy that I kind of like to get your opinion on because it seems like I don't want to call him back yet, but he's definitely close, and he's coming back in the right direction. Maybe he is back. I might be being too harsh, but is Victor Hovland, is he ready to strike? Because out of all the guys I was looking at there in that 9K range around, like the Sam Burns and the Robert McIntyre, Hovland's sitting there at 9,300. Like, we know what Oberg can do. I should say everyone knows what Oberg can do. Everyone knows what Morikawa, Fleetwood, Sandra can do. Like, those guys in a similar range, Justin Thomas. Victor Hovland's been quiet to a lot of people for a while now. And actually, I'm curious. I want to take a look at the ownerships for him now, because now I'm very curious on Hovland. He's just been playing some great golf. Oh, he's actually higher than I thought. He's calculated at 14.7% right now. So
the big issue for me was I was trying to look up real quickly, how does he do around the greens?
Yep.
And because we know that's obviously outside of the majors, his big issue is like
Right.
he just really struggles with wedge play. But again, remember, this is a venue that you could hit it, especially for somebody like him, so on approach and hit like 15, 16 greens.
Yeah.
And the big thing is, if you look at putting, he had a rough first Scottish Open in 2022. He lost like almost 2 strokes.
Right.
But then in 2023, he gained strokes. 2024, he gained 1.31 strokes. So on the greens, you could easily talk me into, especially because like what's crazy is you look actually last year, and this rarely happens, he lost strokes on approach and still finished 46. So I actually think that's a good sign for him, because you are right, his irons are getting much better again, more of the Hovland that we know.
When his irons are on, he's easily one of the best in the world at everything. I'm not just talking iron play. He's going to get
for sure.
a chance at any tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at his putting recently too, because that's been that's been fluctuating, unfortunately. So it's really hard to tell which direction he's going in that. But that obviously that's no surprise. It can change week to week. Looking at the around the green though, we last saw him at the U.S. Open. He gained 7 strokes around the green, finishing third. 1.7 at the Memorial, finishing 25th.
Mm-hmm.
He did lose strokes around the green, at the PGA and at the Truist, but he still made the cuts at those.
And do we know, I mean, is he okay? That's the only thing that I would, is like, because I do get a little leery when somebody withdrew from an event, and with a major particularly like following the week after, like if, something got twinged or whatever, obviously he's not going to like push it to get through this event. He would just shut it down, right, and hope that he can be ready by next Thursday. But I think he's a great fit if he's good to go. I would just make sure to check, that he's, maybe see what his press conference is, because I believe they'll be doing those this week, and you can kind of, make your decision from there.
Yeah, you definitely have to get kind of, let's see, I'm trying to find the latest mention I found of it is on Yahoo. And it's more so a summary of him withdrawing at the Travelers and playing this week, so nothing new. So yeah, you got to go. I guess for him, definitely a good point, because I honestly forgot he had withdrawn. I think I blocked that out of my memory because he
screwed both of us, remember?
Yeah, exactly. So I think I just kind of put that out of my memory, but we get it. All right, so I think so I am, just so it's out there in the public, I am going to go Sam Burns. I don't think I've used him yet for my one and done, just because a lot of these other guys we talked about I've already used. Scotty, Xander, Rory, like I've already used them. So Sam Burns feels like a good. I think he's still available. If not, I'd say if Sam Burns is not available for me to use, I might be crazy and go out and use Matthew Fitzpatrick.
I don't hate that. Again, though, if you have McIntyre, runner up and win, like, and he's got a good record in link style courses anyway. Before that, he's going to be extremely confident this week. I don't love him in DK, even in cash, because I think he's going to be so high owned, and he's right at that price where it's just a little rich for him, because he can have really bad weeks. Sometimes tee to green, even in this kind of situation. And it's like, again, I would rather take Burns, who is an elite putter, right around, kind of the same price. And even if Burns doesn't say hit it great, he's got a chance to, hang around because, again, that flat stick is just so elite right now.
Nope, I 100% agree, and I think in the either way, we are going to have some fantastic golf
I'm
this week.
excited. Early golf too, which is my favorite, man.
I know.
Takes
Early
2
golf,
weeks.
2 weeks in a row. We got this, and then we got obviously the Open the following week. So can't wait for that. Make sure you tune in early. Set your alarms on Thursday morning as everything gets started, and make sure you set your alarm on Tuesday nights for 8:00 right here for Divots and Pivots. Every week we are here, rain or shine, whether I'm not here or Bud's not here. It doesn't matter. We got friends like Keith there who jump on and cover for us, and we're always ready to go. We're always here to answer your questions. So jump in the chat, ask them in the future. And look, we'll see you next week, Keith. Thanks again for joining.
Anytime, man. I love chopping golf with you, bro. Anytime, man. You know that. Yeah. So appreciate you having me, man.
No problem. And we will see you all next week. Once again, stay classy, and we love you here at Divots.